how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, thanks Nick. Good to see you.
Now, you've been here for 3 months now as the athletic director at Eastern. What are some of the things that have been a priority for you since coming here?
Well, first of all, for me it's a homecoming, so it's great to be back home. And I think anybody who takes a new position, the most important thing you do first is get to know the people that you work with, establish relationships, and get a good sense and a foundation of where all the programs are, what the needs are, and what the goals of each of the programs are. Because from my perspective, my job is to help these people succeed. I can't do that until I know who they are and what they're all about and what they strive to become.
Okay.
What have you enjoyed most so far at Eastern?
Along those same lines, what I've enjoyed most is the people. It's the main reason that I came back to Eastern to work. There's as you both know very well, when you walk on this campus, there's a vibe that's a positive vibe. People enjoy being here. People enjoy going to school here. People enjoy working here. And we're all proud of this university. And so for me, the best part of it is just working with the people that I work with each and every day.
All right. And what are some of the biggest challenges that a athletic director faces every day?
Well, I think first and foremost, every university, whether it's athletics or other portions of the academic component, needs more resources. It's a difficult economy that exists nowadays, and we all want to get better at what we do, and typically change and improvement requires resources. Resources are fiscal, they're money. Resources are human, more people. Resources are facilities, and it's a good thing. I'm glad that all of our coaches and all of our student athletes want more. And they have a vision to become better and to have more resources. And that's a big part of my job, is to helping them find those resources. But it really doesn't matter if it's Eastern Connecticut or any other school in the country. We all have that same challenge no matter what our budget is. We want more.
Is it your primary focus to make sure that Eastern's teams are successful on the field, or is that just a small part of the overall picture?
That's a great question. By nature of my title, Director of Athletics, certainly we want to have teams succeed on the fields, on the courts, in the pools, out in the woods when they're running cross country. And we want them all to have personal accomplishments as well as team accomplishments. But sports is a small part of being a student athlete, and obviously the word student coming first. And so it means succeeding in the classroom, because we are accountable as administrators and coaches and support folks in athletics to help students succeed. And academics is a big part of that, as well as giving back to society, and particularly in the community that we live in. While students are here, their community is Willimantic and Eastern Connecticut. But at some point they graduate and they leave Eastern. And that means that perhaps their competitive athletic career is over. So did we succeed in providing them the tools and the skill sets to become productive citizens back in whatever community they choose to live in? Did they have an academic degree that helps them find a job? Do they have the understanding of community awareness and giving back to those in need? And that's a big part of what we do, is develop a person overall. Regardless, in our area it's student athletes, but there are other faculty and other people all across campus that have that same goal in mind, not just what the main focus of their job is, but to developing an overall good person that can go back into society and be a proud grad of Eastern Connecticut.
And I know high school athletics and making a commitment is much different than here at the college level. And here at college, student athletes make the commitment to their team, to the community, to their academics. And can you just talk about the commitment? I know you were just talking about it a little bit there.
It's overwhelming. It really is. I mean, one of the unfortunate things of society nowadays is with instant media. And no offense, you guys do a great job with instant media, but the press will oftentimes talk a lot about the negatives associated with athletics. But the truth of the matter is, like anything else, that's a very, very small portion of what really exists with student athletes. And the commitment that student athletes have nowadays, in addition to the expectations of doing well in the classroom to be eligible to participate in sports, to giving up essentially the equivalent of a part-time job, if not more, each week to sports. The requests that we put on them to become community citizens and give back, it really is an overall adjustment. And in all honesty, we take away, with some of the requirements we put on our student athletes, we take away their ability to be a normal student in college, if you will. Some of the privileges and the freedoms and the flexibilities that are associated with the independence of someone going off to college for the first time, are not there for the
Yep.
student athletes. We ask them to basically grow up and mature and be an adult and responsible before, I guess, if you will, that official time is there. When people say when you graduate you enter the real world, they enter the real world much sooner because they really don't have much of a choice. And you know, I have a lot of respect for each and every one of them and for the time and commitment and devotion that they give to our programs.
All right, now you've worked at a Division I level, and now you're at Division III. Can you explain the difference between the both of those?
Money. It's really simple. You know, coaches and support staff all have the same goals in mind. Win, compete, become successful, and outside do well in the classroom, represent the university and the community well. The main difference is the amount of support that goes towards each program. You have nicer facilities, greater support staffs, larger coaching staffs, and the list goes on and on. You might be able to travel further, you might have some more perks, but the reality of the matter is that good people that work in athletics have the exact same incentives all across the board to put out good kids when they graduate.
All right.
Why, in your opinion, should a high school student athlete consider Eastern?
Why do I think a high school student athlete should consider Eastern? It's a great question, and it's a question that if a recruit and a parent were here on this campus should ask myself and every coach, because even though we recruit, essentially they're recruiting and interviewing us as well when they have to make a really tough decision. I can tell you that just this past weekend we held an open house where we had some close to 1,000 students come here with their parents and families, and it's a great opportunity for us to answer that exact question. Why should they come here? The first thing I can tell you, and this has nothing to do with athletics whatsoever, but to a person, each person that visited our campus commented how beautiful it looked and how surprised most of them were. They'd never been here before, and that they had no idea that they drive through the woods and all of a sudden this absolutely beautiful campus comes up with amazing buildings, and that's nice to hear. Now, buildings don't make an experience typically, but they sure are a great first impression. So the first thing is we have a beautiful campus, and that's important because I do think that perception goes a long way. It's just like when athletes wear uniforms, they want to look good, and if you look good, you'll play better typically most games. So it's a beautiful place. It's a small enough place where you can feel like you know all your neighbors, your classmates, your dorm mates, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that that leads to some independent sense of a requirement to treat others well. You know you're going to see these people in different classes, if not tomorrow, next semester. You know you'll see them in dining hall. You'll see them everywhere. And when you treat your neighbors well, there tends to have mutual respect. And I think, talking about what I was mentioning earlier, that's that type of mentality that's spread all throughout campus. When you walk around, you really feel that sense. So if you like a small school and you like professors that really take the time to spend with you, and particularly coaches, we have hands down some of the best coaches that student athletes could ask to work with. And I tell you sincerely, as good as these coaches are, they spend 20% of their time coaching the sport. They spend 80% of their time mentoring, monitoring students' academics, facilitating community service opportunities, doing departmental requirements that we ask them to contribute with. They're outstanding. And if I'm a parent and I have a son or daughter that I'm going to send away for the first time from home and put in someone else's hands, I could think of no better place than to send them here in the hands of some of our coaches.
All right, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Dr. Konin.
You're welcome.
We
It's my
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Thank you very much. We're going to come back with a little bit about Eastern sports. We'll give a quick rundown on the last few sports, and then we'll go to our third segment for the NFL and fourth for Major League Baseball. You're watching Eastern Athletics Weekly on LittleEast.tv.
Powered by Easy Stream.